Hello people, it's me again. Well, now I have mounted the other springs, the 1.6 millimeter springs. They are a bit stiffer, so now a bit more ground clearance. You can see the front is it's a bit more lift there now, so it looks promising. And I could also adjust here if I want a bit more soft here. But I think this is good. So for bashing these 1.6 millimeter springs could be a good upgrade. But I have to drive the car, of course, to test it. For racing, maybe the stock springs are the best. So that's the springs. I have unscrewed this screw here from the servo to the steering. Also this screw here, which goes to the brakes here, and also a third screw, this one, that goes to the throttle. The setup was good. I checked the brake and everything, and the carb. I had to adjust a bit this steering link, because when you give max throttle, the carb should be just maximum open. It should not go even longer. So look down the Venturi and just see that the carb is opening just max as it is now. It don't need to go any further. So I did adjust the throttle link a bit. So the car is okay from factory, but you have to check some things, like the setup of electronic and even the pins here, the needles. But I wanted to see this quick release of the servos. So as I said, I unscrewed this screw and this screw and the screw to the throttle link. So now we can move these a bit away. And you see you have these two plastic points here. So you just press here. And you should be able to just lift up this complete module here now. Let's see. Like this. So now we have all the electronics is here now. Here we have the receiver box, and you can see the cables go here. This is the battery. So here you have the battery inside this battery box, and the cable go into the receiver, and of course this go into the battery port of the receiver, and then you have throttle and steering in the two others, and there's cables that goes out to the servos. So when you look at the car now, it is no more electronic in here at all. So you have all the electronics there. So if you were racing this car, you could indeed just have two complete setup of this, I believe, and do a very quick shift of all the electronics. If you had some failure with the electronics, something that worked a bit and didn't work, or you had some strange issues with the electronic, you can just quickly remove this complete module and install a new one. Of course, you have to connect the links again and be sure that setup for the electronics endpoints and everything is already set maybe. But this is also a very good way to get access to the other parts of the car. Easy to remove this module. Take that, let that go away, and you now have easy access. If I want to, I will replace this support here with aluminium. This is plastic now, so we have easy access to this one and this one. What else will I do? I'm maybe going to take a look at the center differential. Then I have to unscrew some more screws out to lift up the center differential. So, yeah. And I also gonna check the front diff and the rear diff. But then of course I have to unscrew more things there. Just as I remember it, I did check the failsafe on the stock transmitter and receiver. And I did give throttle, so the carb did open, and then remove the battery. And when I did, what happened was that the carb closed to idle position, but no brakes. So just that the throttle got down to idle. So that's the failsafe, stock failsafe. I would like that it apply a little bit brake so the car could stop quicker, because if you're missing the connection in really high speed, the car will of course roll a long way and could hit something, of course. So it would be better if the car did hit the brakes a little bit. But I'm not going to set up that with this electronics, because as I said before, I'm going to change to my Spectrum transmitter receiver, and also I'm going to change the servo so I can use the 2S LiPo battery, since these stock servos only can take 6 volts. Was it anything more? Failsafe, yes. New springs. I think I said it. Good access and good overview now of the engine also. You can see the spur gear here and the pinion. I keep the plastic on the cooler because I don't have a glow plug-in. I should maybe also close the carb like this with a rubber band, or just put something over here, because you don't want dust or any debris falling into the motor. So you should keep it close. All right. Also very nice, they have these mud guards on the rear arms. I've taken out the center differential, and here you can see it is some oil in here, silicone oil, not very much. It don't go above the cross here, so you can put a bit more silicone oil in here, this center differential. I'm not sure what the stock oil is in here, but I'm gonna put in some 150k. Let's see here, this one, silicone oil, 150k. I'm gonna use this in the center differential, because I like to get more track on both wheels, in the front and in the rear. For racing that could maybe be way too much, but for bashing I will start with that. So I'm not gonna remove the oil in here, I'm just gonna add some 150k oil. The differential look quite solid, I must say. The cross looks maybe a bit beefier than I've seen on Arma. I also believe the pin under here. Let's see if I can get it out. Oh. The pin is 2.5 millimeters, I believe. Arma use 2.25 millimeter, and that pin breaks on Arma cars. Not very often, but I've done it once on my car. So a bit more beefier differential on some parts at least. Here you also can see the brakes, brake pads and brakes. So we had to unscrew both these 4 screws here, and just then you can lift up the differential with the brakes. I did also unscrew the screws on top. I'm not sure if I had to do that, but I did it anyway. Now I have easy access to these parts I want to replace with the aluminium parts. So now I upgraded the support there for the chassis or the front tower and rear tower. This is the plastic parts, and you can see I fitted the aluminium parts. It was a tight fit. This was okay. This was a tight fit. I had to use this file to brush off a bit on the aluminium part there, but then it was okay. I also had to release the fuel tank here to get into it, and yeah, I believe that was it really. So now I'm just gonna assemble this again, and after that I will put on the aluminium rear hubs. As always, you will find some screws that have not thread lock on them, even if they go into metal. So could be nice to go over the car and just check that the most important screws are tight and good, especially the 4 screws that mount the motor to the chassis. Just finished mounting the new aluminium rear hubs. They was a perfect fit, very good and easy to mount. Here is the plastic, so it's just this part that's new. You can see it's the same holes for adjusting the setup here, both up and down. You have also 2 holes on this side. So now I mounted the support, the rear and the front there, under there, and the aluminium rear hubs. I also bought these ink pin blocks, but it looks like I don't need them. This is the rear front and the front rear, but the car already got good blocks here, also in the front. Let's look here. You can see it inside there. So no need to use them now. I can just have them in spare. My first video, I believe I listed all the parts ink pin blocks that you don't really need before you break these, but I don't hope they break. Aluminium hubs and chassis or tower support, front and rear. I also have the new springs here, a bit stiffer setup now. So now I'm only waiting for the 2 servos I had to order, since I'm going to use 2 as a LiPo battery, and stock servo don't support more than 6 volt. So that's all for today. Goodbye.